Welcome to Canucks After Dark. Here are your hosts, Parker Hallowell and Clay Emo.
Good evening, Vancouver. Right on time, 10 p.m. on Monday, November 1st. And welcome back to another episode of Canucks After Dark, your one-stop shop for Vancouver Canucks talk after 10 p.m. And as always, I am joined by my co-host, Canuck Clay Emo. How are you doing today?
I am great, Parker. How are you? I'm giggling.
Great.
Yeah, I'm giggling because I know where you're coming from and what you had to do to get here on time. And I'm joking around how you can make it after an intense battle to the end of regulation in your hockey game. And I couldn't even get one guy to bowl a little bit faster a few weeks ago.
And I had time for a beer in the dressing room. We're firing on all cylinders here.
So it was a tie. Your game? Yeah.
We tied, unfortunately, yes. And unfortunately, the Canucks have not tied in a while with 3 straight losses. We'll get to that. But, we do have a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We got 3 games to go over. None of them went the Canucks' way. We're going to talk about sort of the panic index, where we're at on that, who's to blame when it comes to these issues here. Could Travis Green be on the hot seat this early? Only 10 games. Is it 10? Have they played 10 games? 9 games into his contract. We've got Travis Hamonic, who we talk about every week because news about him drops every Monday, apparently. We've got we're going to talk about Elias Pettersson. We've got Tyler Motte. We've got Oliver Ekman-Larsson. We've got 3 games to preview. We're going to have an ad read in there. We're going to have Don't Do That. We're going to have your questions. There's so much for us to talk about. And we're going to try to fit it all in the next hour. Clay, is there anywhere you want to start? Anything you want to bring up before we get going here?
Well, I do like to go chronologically, even though the Hamonic and Motte news is fresh, but we can build up to that, I think, because I think we got to set the stage if that's cool with you.
Yeah, and I think that's less important than the Canucks' performance lately.
True.
So we'll start with home opener, October 26th, a game I paid to go to. The Minnesota Wild taking down the Canucks 3-2 back last Tuesday. An absolute snoozer of a game, I think. The first game back on home ice, I will say the intro video was phenomenal. The whole Avengers thing, the way they had the ice set up, it was really cool, really well done. And then the Canucks followed it up with a pretty weak performance. Clay, what did you take away from this one?
Well, it was kind of cool. We were texting each other. You were at the game in some pretty sweet seats, if I may say so myself. They look good. Lower bowl, right?
Yeah, I thought, first game of the season, I'll spend the extra. I was on SeatGeek, it was actually like $15 a ticket, and I was like, all right, I'll pay the extra $15 a ticket to get some better seats. But yeah.
Now I admit maybe this isn't very becoming of a YouTube vlog, a Canucks vlogger. I was watching the game from the bowling alley, right, every Tuesday night. So no sound on the TV. So I was trying to figure out who was doing what and who was playing well, following your tweets, following tweets of people. Then I see us basically not playing well, giving up some goals, odd man rushes. Then I see Horvat scoring this really nice goal with a few minutes left. Then I get all excited, and then it just kind of goes after that.
Nothing happens after that. Yeah. And that was sort of the case in these Canucks games this week, is there was a lot of time where just not a lot happened. They weren't very exciting games. I think it got a little bit more exciting as some of the games went on, especially the last game against the Oilers on Saturday. But we'll get to that. We'll go. So in this game, we had goals from Chiasson, goals from Horvat. Demko was in net for the first one.
He was,
and he stopped 27 of 30, so a clean 900. But the Canucks lose that one, and people are starting to be like, all right, Elias Pettersson still isn't playing well. The Canucks are struggling. I think that game put them back at 500, put them back to 3-3-1, and everyone's like, all right, well, it's all right. They play the Flyers next. They beat them already. And then they go against the Flyers, and 22 seconds in, it's Sean Couturier on a 2-on-1, just a complete defensive failure on the first shift of the game. Sort of set the tone. Canucks go back. They answer. Quinn Hughes scores a quick one, shot from the point, and it was another goal against Philadelphia that gets weirdly deflected in, goes off the goalie and in to make it 1-1. And then we had JVR 6:58 into the first period. So in the first 7 minutes, 3 goals were scored.
Everything.
And for the next 53 minutes, nothing happened. So this was a game that was completely boring. Both teams had 28 shots. And another game that I think this is the game where I started to hit the panic button a little bit. Canucks drop below 500. Elias Pettersson is 8 games in and has looked terrible to this point. No one on the ice looked good during this game. And I was getting nervous because I said right after that road trip, right after the first game at home against the Wild, when they were 3-3-1, I said, man, if the Canucks lose like 2 or 3 more in a row, you start to get nervous, right? And they lose to Philadelphia. And then they lose to Edmonton on Saturday night, another 2-1 games. In the past 3 games at home, they've played 180 minutes at home, and they have 4 goals. And this one came with 7 seconds left. And it was a great goal by Brock Besser, his 100th of his career, but an early goal from Foegele, a goal late in the second from Draisaitl, and that was basically it. Brock Besser with a late one in the third period. So 3 kind of just rough games where the Canucks get nothing going at home. I guess my question for you is, I guess first we'll get your thoughts on the Philadelphia game and the Oilers games.
Yeah, the Philly game, Halak, I didn't like the way he looked on that first goal, but I admit after that, I agree with you. None of the skaters were good, but I noticed you intentionally said none of the skaters, because Halak, the power play goal that Philly scored on, that was a nice tic-tac-toe play. I'm still trying to figure out where the puck was supposed to go or coming from. And then he shut the door.
Good.
Yeah.
Their power plays like they're trying cool things. I think I had a tweet and I was like, I wish the Canucks tried weird stuff on the power play. Like just go out and do something weird.
Yeah. Yeah. But so Halak was fine. He certainly wasn't the issue, but you're exactly right. The goaltenders haven't been the issue when they're only allowing 2, 3, and then 1, or whatever their order was, 3, 2, and 2. You got to be able to score at least 2 goals in this league. You got to at least score 1 power play goal. When you're going 0 for 5, 0 for 4, or not even drawing any penalties like they couldn't do against Edmonton. There are bigger issues in the goaltending. So I think we'd agree that goaltending is the least of our issues right now. That Philly game was tough because that is a team that we had a very exciting game against in like the first week of the season, and to lay that egg and a series of eggs this week. It's not even Easter. That was tough.
Yeah. Wrong holiday. It's Halloween. And yeah, the Philadelphia game, I did my post-game show after this one, and I had a couple people saying like, man, Halak should have had the first one and all this stuff. It's like, look, Halak allowed 2 goals on 28 shots. He did his job, right?
Yes.
If the team behind you, the team in front of you can't score 2 goals in an NHL game, you're going to lose most of the time, regardless, right? Same with the Edmonton game, right? Sure, Demko, let in 2 goals on 34 shots. That's really good.
It's very good.
But if the team in front of him, it takes them 59, almost 60 minutes to score a goal, then you're not going to win any games.
Wasn't it the most aggravating thing, Parker? I know you're at the Abbotsford game, but I'm sure you caught some of the highlights. Darnell Nurse takes that penalty with 2.5 minutes left.
Yep.
So you're 6 on 4 now, not 6 on 5, 6 on 4, and then PD breaks his stick on a pass, not even a one-timer. It was a pass.
Yeah.
So then you lose some time there, and Koskinen makes an amazing blocker save on Besser, where if he scored that, obviously Nurse comes out of the penalty box, but then now you have a bit of life with a minute left, not 5 seconds left. So there are just so many things that went wrong. And I was joking, nothing to do with the performance, but it started off wrong when I think you saw my tweet where I was filming Marie with my light on my cell phone.
Your flashlight on.
And people were texting me saying, "Hey, idiot, I can see you from across the arena with your light." Like, it was so bad, Parker. It was so
on national television. Oh, that's excellent.
Thank you. Only this guy.
That makes me happy. So 3 bad games. The Canucks are now at 3-5-1. So 2 games below 500, and that puts them where in the Pacific Division? 7th. They are tied with Los Angeles. However, they have 1 less regulation win. The Canucks have only won 2 games out of their 9 in regulation. Keep that in mind. They are ahead of Seattle, same amount of points, but Seattle's played 1 more game.
Good thing they suck.
Yep. Vegas started out slow, and I said, this is the time to try to build a bit of a gap on Vegas, right? When they start weak.
Yep.
Well, they're back up to 4-4. They're in 5th. Anaheim's 3-4-3. San Jose's hanging on at 5-3. They're 3rd in the division still. Calgary's 6-1-1, and Edmonton is 7-8-1. and one with a ridiculous power play. And yeah, it's a real uphill battle. Now look, the Canucks are really only, if they win a game, they're right back in the mix, right? It's just, and people are like, oh, it's only 9 games. Well, you're 11% into the season.
Yes.
Right. You have 90% of the year left, which sounds like a lot, but it'll start moving quick. Right. And if you're behind a little bit now and that gap just keeps growing a little bit and you're playing from behind a lot and you're trying to, come back in every game you play, things fall apart really quickly.
Park, I'm just looking at the standings. Isn't it gross how Anaheim is 3-4-3? So they've won 3 of their 10 games, yet they're ahead of us.
Yeah, and they have allowed 10 more goals in the Canucks. They've also scored 9 more goals than the Canucks in those 10 games. So Anaheim is scoring 1 more goal per game than Vancouver is.
Yeah,
think about that. This team that has Elias Pettersson, Brock Besser, JT Miller, Bo Horvat, Connor Garland, Niels Höglander, Vasily Podkolzin, Quinn Hughes, like so many people who can make offense happen, and they're scoring less than 3 goals a game.
I know you've talked about this on your live streams. Don't you find it ironic that we were worried about our defense and our offense was going to be so good, and it's quite the opposite right now?
Yeah, and I'm not going to say that the defense has been excellent.
Right.
I think
so good was the
the goaltending has been a big part of that.
True.
I think analytically, I saw the Canucks are in like the low or like the high 20s defensively. So like around 22, 23 in the league, which is totally fine. That's about where we would have been happy with that going into the season because we expected the offense to be around 10th in the league, right? Because looking at the roster they had, that was sort of our hope, and that was kind of what would have to happen for this team to be a playoff team, and it just hasn't been the case yet.
Yes.
So, my main question in this one, is it a roster problem? Is it an execution problem? Or is it a coaching problem? So where do you mainly see the blame? Is it that the roster's not good enough right now, which would be on Jim Benning? Is it that the execution isn't good enough, which is on the players? Or is it the coaching that's not good enough, which would be mainly on Travis Green?
I'm not sure if we can get to this question later because sometimes we like to surprise each other, but I'm not sure if we can get to Benning versus Green hot seat, because my answer to that is I still think Benning goes before Green, just my opinion. But to answer this question, I actually don't think the roster, so maybe I'm contradicting myself. I don't think it's the roster. I think it's a combination of 2 and 3, the execution, the coaching problem. And the one thing for me, Parker, the one thing is, gosh, take a risk going into the offensive zone. Take a risk. Try carrying it over. I bet you carried the puck over the blue line more in your game tonight than the Canucks have in the past 3. Is that fair to say?
I was playing defense and I did. Absolutely.
They dump and chase, but they're not fast enough to chase. So they dump and they get pumped. It goes the other way. We have good puck handlers. Pettersson, Garland, Miller, Horvat, Höglander. Let them carry the puck in. I don't understand it. Am I missing something? I don't play hockey as much as you do. Am I missing something?
I don't think so, because again, I think I do this every show, and I always I use Edmonton as my example for offense because they have McDavid and Draisaitl and Nugent Hopkins, right? They have these guys who are skilled with the puck, and that's what they do. It seems so easy for them. We saw it on Saturday night. It looks like they just walk into the zone and we're like, all right, yeah, we still have the puck. Like we didn't have to go in and chase you for it. We didn't have to work hard for it. We gained the zone, and now we're going to set up. And for the Canucks, they just can't seem to be able to do that. And I don't know if it's a systems thing. I don't know if it's a lack of confidence. And for my answer to this question, I'm sort of in the same boat. We looked at the roster in the offseason, and we looked at it and we said, yeah, this is a team that can succeed, right? So I don't think the issue is with the roster. The execution and coaching again sort of go hand in hand, but it's really, do you think it's, that the coaching systems are good and they're not executing, or are the players doing the best with what's available to them? Up until about 4 nights ago, I was on I've always been pretty positive on Travis Green. And I think everything, I think my video when he got extended would sort of show that. And I love Travis Green as a person. I think he's an excellent leader. I just feel like something needs to change soon if things start falling off a cliff, right? Because sure, you can be 3-5-1 and you're still alive. But what happens if you're 3-7-1, 3-8-1, or 4-8-1, right? Eventually, you're not going to be able to go and make a big trade, try to make some sort of change in that way. It's just not going to happen. Most teams it's too early in the season. Most teams aren't ready to make big moves yet. The Canucks don't really have the capital to make those big moves. You're not trading your first round pick yet when you're 3-5-1. So I think if they're looking at, okay, we need to make some sort of change to try to spark confidence. This is the thing that we see teams do all the time, and it works a lot, right? We've seen a lot of teams do it, and it seems like the easiest move. Now, I think it was Rob Fay had a tweet, and he said, there's no shot Travis Green gets fired. He's 9 games into a new contract. He's getting paid a lot of money. They're not going to waste that much money. You know how much money the Canucks make if they have 2 home playoff games, 3 home playoff games, 4 home playoff games this year? It's millions of dollars, right?
More than Green's contract.
It's more than Green's contract. So I don't like that argument. I think if the Canucks are like it, let's say they lose tomorrow night, right, against the Rangers, 3-6-1 on a team, and it's not like our expectations are too high, right? We didn't come out and say, oh, this is a playoff team. This is a playoff team. We've thought that. You know why we thought that? Because Jim Benning said it's a playoff team. Travis Green said it's a playoff team. Francesco Aquilini said this is a playoff team. Our goal is to make the playoffs. Yeah. And if they're 3-6-1, 3-7-1, that's not a playoff team. And something has to change, whether it's on the roster, on the coaching staff. They're going to have to do something.
Yeah, part of me thinks, Parker, that it's almost like Travis Green, maybe he's not confident in the defense. So he's telling the forwards or whatever the system is, don't try and go one-on-one. Don't try and make a move. Dump it in. At least the puck's past their goal line, right? And then if something crazy happens, we're at least can have the whole ice to figure it out. That's one thing. The other thing is, hear me out on this one. I actually think with Motte and Hamonic, and I know we're going to get to this later, but with them coming back, I actually think it makes the team tougher to play against, both up front and on the blue line. It pushes a few guys down in the lineup. And I'm not saying we're going to win the Stanley Cup now, but I think those 2 guys can quietly make a big difference. And we're going to lament not having them from the start. It's not no one's fault. It's just, I think these 2 guys could collectively, maybe not individually, but you bring in 2 difference makers. Maybe it helps a little bit, even if it's just for the morale of the team.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think you're kind of right on that, where it looks like, and I think Harmon Dial in the intermission on the Thursday game was talking about this a lot, how analytically the offense has gotten worse and the defense has gotten better, and how it's looked like the offense is trying to focus more defensively. Yeah. But this roster is made up in a way that they should still be scoring, right? You should still be making plays in the offensive zone. And yes, having guys like Tyler Motte back, Travis Hamonic back, right? That'll improve things like your penalty kill, hopefully quite a bit. And yeah, hopefully move things down the lineup a bit. I don't know exactly what the Canucks are at on the PK. I was looking at it a few days ago, and I think it was in the 70s. I actually have it right here.
Saturday didn't help. Didn't they go over 2?
The Canucks are 28th in the NHL on the penalty kill at 72%. And their power play is at 18.8%. So you add those up, you want to be at 100 or more. That means their special teams are good, right? The Canucks are at 90.8%. So they're allowing too much on the penalty kill. They're not scoring enough on the power play. Their power play is ranked 20th. And with the roster they put together, that they should be higher than that, right? We should be talking about a team that is in the 22, 23, 25% range.
Yes.
They're not producing, right? We thought, getting rid of Newell Brown and bringing in a new power play coach, but nothing changed. Like literally it's exactly the same power play. And I don't know if that's lack of practice. I don't know what the idea is. They should have had a couple of practice. They should have a lot of practices this week because they have a couple of 2-day gaps, but I just don't really get it. I don't really know what else to say there.
Isn't it crazy when I say to you, or I say not just to you because you know this, but to everyone watching and listening, Pettersson and Miller combined have the same amount of goals as one Alex Chason or one Justin Dowling. That's not right. No, that's not right.
That's bad. Okay, we're 9 games in. Elias Pettersson should have 3 goals minimum. Right. JT Miller should have 3 goals, right? Like we're talking about guys who should be scoring 30 goals a year, right? And they're going out there and they're on pace for, I don't know, 12, like not enough. So, the thing is, right.
12.
The
That
thing
makes me
is,
sad.
we have seen, I can see the path out of this, right?
Okay.
The goaltending is good, right? We know
Yes.
Thatcher Demko is going to be good, and he's going to play 57 games or something this year, and he's going to be good. Halak looks fine. He looks better than Holtby did last year.
Yes.
The defense has looked okay. The real issue is the team isn't producing offensively. And it feels like it feels like the players are so good that eventually it has to start working, right? Like eventually something's got to click and they're going to start scoring 4 goals every game, right? They can't continue to score 2 goals a game. It's just not going to happen, right? In theory, but I just don't know where, like when that turn's going to happen, because you do start to run out of time really quickly, especially when you're anticipated to be a bubble team to begin with.
So I got a question for you. Let's say, just work with me here. Let's say that Horvat and Garland aren't our worries, because Horvat has 4 and 9, Garland has 3. That's 27 goals
And
extrapolated.
I think it's fair to say that they've been the best players in the top 6.
Fair enough. I agree with you. So let's say we'll count Besser as this, because he only got 2. Miller and Pearson only have 1 each. Okay, and Puckholzen has 1. Which guy is most important to break out? Actually, I'll give you both. Which guy do you think breaks out first? Whatever definition of breakout you want to use, maybe score a second goal. And which guy is most important for the Canucks to break out? It might be the same answer to both.
Well, most importantly is Pettersson, right? Because the level he's playing at right now and the level he can play out is such a game changer, right? Yeah. I mean, we're probably talking about 2 or 3 points in the standings if he had been playing at his peak, I feel like already, because he probably scores in one of these last 2 games they lost 2-1 and takes it to overtime, right? So 1, maybe 2 points from that, and probably a similar story earlier in the season. So I think he is the most important, not just for this year, but also for the future of the franchise. And he looked better on Saturday. And I think that was sort of the consensus. So that trend's going up. As long as that trend keeps going up, then good things are in store there. However, who I think breaks out here, I'd probably go JT Miller. I feel like he's so close to getting a few more bounces. I mean, he's shooting at 6%. Pettersson's shooting at 4%. And these things they'll even out eventually. And I'm sure, hopefully 3 weeks from now, it's a whole different story.
Yeah, I agree with PD for sure is the most important. His contract dictates it. So his presence dictates. So I have a feeling that Brock Besser, to me, he was really strong in that Saturday game, especially in that third period. He was kind of the one making a lot of the chances happen. Maybe, it was 5 seconds and a mean nothing goal, comparatively speaking. But though. Yeah, it was. And maybe for me, it's Besser's might be the guy who breaks out a little bit. But yeah, I don't care who, man. I don't care if it's Lamico who breaks out. Just someone break out.
Let's see some. Yeah, let's see some. Yeah, Lamico's a great call. If Justin Bailey comes out and scores next game, we'll take it. Canucks need some.
Do you find Bailey a bit one-dimensional? A couple people were asking me on my stuff. I really like Bailey's game, and I get the speed, but I do find him a bit one-dimensional on offense. He kind of streaks down the boards, tries to beat his guy wide, right? Mm-hmm. And I get he gets to the net once in a while, but maybe I got to give him a bit more of a chance. I don't know.
Yeah, I haven't really noticed him. I mean, he's only played 71 NHL games in his career. Like, I didn't notice him in the first 3 games he's really played this year, which isn't terrible, but the team needs some offense from whoever. Yeah. Do we want to go to that big question that you sort of mentioned then?
Sure, you can start too.
Who's in the hot seat then? So let's say worst case scenario. We're not saying this will happen. We're not hoping this happens, but let's say the Canucks lose the next 3 games, right? Let's say the Canucks are 3-8-1.
Okay.
What move do they go to first? It feels like all the online pressure, the social media pressure is on Travis Green right now. Yeah. Lots of fans are happy with the moves Jim Benning made this offseason. A lot of other people will say, well, Jim Benning's had 8 years and the best roster he's constructed is 3-5-1. So typically there's kind of 2 balancing things here. Typically mid-season, it's a coach that gets fired, not a GM. However, typically a GM only gets 2 coaches, right?
Yeah.
The Willie D era didn't work. If the Travis Green era doesn't work, well, at some point, the GM has had their shot with their 2 coaches, and GMs don't typically get fired mid-season. Who is on the hot seat then here? Is it coaching? Let's say Francesco's fed up with the losses and he says, okay, we need to make a change. Does he fire Travis Green, give someone the interim tag for the rest of the year, and then either Jim Benning gets fired in the offseason or he gets to hire a new coach? Or does he go out, fire Jim Benning, have the new GM come in, who then has the option of keeping Travis Green on board?
It's fascinating, Parker, when you lay it out like that, because we're talking about either a 2 GM 3 coach or 2 GM 2 coach model, right? Like we know that a new GM is going to, regardless if he gets fired before or after the coach, will always have the final say for his own coach. So you could say fire Green first, but then if Jim Benning doesn't last, then he might bring in a different coach than the replacement to Green. Now you're in 3 coaches in 2 years. Or you fire Benning first and then see what Travis Green can do, but then the new GM, then at least you're only 2. If the Canucks lose the next 2 or 3, and God forbid they do, it's hard not to look at the coach. It's hard, as much as I would rather see Benning, because I like Green more than Benning. It's hard not to look at the coach and say a 3-7-1 start, a 3-8-1. You went 0-5 at home to start off a season, 0-6 at home.
After saying we're building a playoff team, this is going to be a playoff team.
Yeah. But I think not even a but. Someone using that argument is thinking short term. A longer term view, unfortunately, looking backwards, would be, what has Jim Benning done for us? And maybe this roster isn't as good as we thought it was. And then it goes back to Benning. So I really think, Parker, for me, it's, can you objectively look? I'm not asking you. I mean, can someone objectively look at this and say, if the roster is on paper is supposed to be way better than what they're playing, then it's a coaching thing. If the roster is not as good as we all made it out to be, including me, then it's a GM thing. That's kind of where, and I'm not committing to either one. I think that's where the split is for me.
Yeah. Again, I'm in the same boat. I like Travis Green more than I like Jim Benning. However, I think Jim Benning has done a pretty bad job over the first bunch of years of his tenure. Right. However, he did go out and put a roster together to compete.
Yeah.
So I think Jim Benning, I don't think firing Jim Benning on, like, if Jim Benning gets fired on Friday, right? Nothing changes, right? The roster doesn't change. The team doesn't change. I don't think the team gets motivated by it. Because I think the team sees it as like, oh wow, clearly we're not good. Right. However, I think firing a coach makes a bigger impact on a season because it brings a direct shakeup. It brings a whole new dynamic to a locker room that firing a GM doesn't. So, I think if the Canucks go on a deeper skid here, I think Travis Green's the first to go. And then I think Jim Benning gets reevaluated in the offseason. Would be my guess. Now, I ran a poll on Saturday night on my live stream, and I asked, would you fire Travis Green at this point? I had something like 50 responses, and it was 68% said yes. They would fire Travis Green. So this is, I think I have a pretty moderate chat. Like I think both of us do, where both of our sort of our bases are pretty centered. Like neither of us are very like anti anything or for anything.
No.
We try to look at everything kind of logically and not be too emotional about our thoughts. And that's the opinion they're going. And I'm starting to lean there too. If you had told me on October 13th that in 2.5 weeks, I'd be thinking about Travis Green getting fired, I'd say you're crazy. I'd be like, no, I like Travis Green. I think he's a good coach. But I'm starting to get sold, just how I kind of got sold on Elias Pettersson, underperforming. And I was like, we're 4 games in, we're 5 games in. I'm starting to get a little bit sold down this train of maybe something has to change.
Okay, don't look at the comment section because I saw it. But I'm going to ask you. Okay, hot take, John, the legend himself. He suggested that one of us should be GM and one of us be coach. So which one would you like to have, and which combination of us, the Canucks After Dark co-host, do you think would work best?
I think I'd be a better coach than you. So I think you should be the GM.
Okay.
I think that would be a good combo.
Let's do that then.
Okay, let's hand
in our resumes tomorrow.
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Go to Rogers Arena and be like, look, we've got a plan. We're taking over. We're fixing this.
If the Canucks come out of this homestand, right? 6 games on the road, 7 games at home, 13 games. If they come out with anything less than 5 wins or fewer, whatever the proper, fewer than 5 wins, that's a bad look, man. That means they got to win 2 of the next 4. If they don't, yeah.
You know what isn't a bad look? Manscaped.
Yes.
Support for Canucks After Dark is brought to you by Manscaped, who's the best in men's below-the-waist grooming, the champions of the world. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels. Manscaped just launched their 4th-generation trimmer, the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. So join over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with this exclusive offer just for you guys, our listeners, 20% off, free worldwide shipping with the code CAD for Canucks After Dark, CAD, at manscaped.com. Look, it's November. Halloween's gone. Thanksgiving's gone. It's basically Christmas, right? I pulled the tree out of the closet today. We haven't put it up yet, but we're going to. So it's the perfect time. Treat yourself. Hit up Manscaped. Pick up a lawnmower. You deserve it. So get 20% off, free shipping with our code CAD at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping. Manscaped.com and use code CAD. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
Nice. I still have my box. I'm still waiting for it's somewhere. Okay. I'll open it one day. Great job, Parker. Thank you. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I mean, it's the best product ever. Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, I mean, I think you trust my word for it. It does a good job.
Okay.
Okay. So that takes us to, we're done with the whole roster thing, the management, the coaching. I think this is something we just got to wait and see, right? If the Canucks lose tomorrow, I mean, it's getting tight though. Like it's getting iffy if the Canucks are 0-4 at home. And I think I think I saw a tweet, I don't remember who it was from, but basically the Canucks are sort of in a pretty good spot because it's early in the season. Fans hadn't been in the stands for 595 days. There's still sort of this honeymoon phase right now, right? People are happy to be back at the arena watching games. If Brock Besser doesn't score that goal on Saturday, the team might get booed off the ice, right? Like it is getting to that point. If they put up a bad performance against the Rangers tomorrow, this team could get booed off the ice. I'm just saying, like, something might be, in the cards there. But let's transition to some other topics, some other things going on. And I guess the main one is Travis Hamonic back in Vancouver, back with the team. Played 1 game in Abbotsford, which I witnessed on Saturday night.
How was he?
I think he was out for all 3 Ontario goals. 2 of them were on the power, or 1 was on the power play. And it was like a 2-on-1. It wasn't like he was just a minus out there, but it wasn't like his fault. There was another goal that, again, he was just kind of on the ice for. Like, he wasn't at fault. And then the third goal was in overtime, and it was a 2-on-1, and he was the last man back, and the pass got past him. And they scored. I don't think he looked bad. He didn't really stand out. It was like, man, that's an NHL player out there with these AHL players. He looked solid though. I think he played something like, he must have played something like 21, 22 minutes. Like he was, it felt like every time I looked, they were putting him out there. Power play. He played every power play. He played every penalty kill. He was out on the ice a ton. He looked absolutely fine. And he comes back to join the Canucks, but probably only for a couple of games here. How many home games do the Canucks have left? 3 more? 4 more?
Yep.
So the Canucks are at home until next Tuesday, November 9th against Anaheim, and then they go on the road to Colorado. And they're in the States for 3 straight games there. And this was kind of a mess. And I sort of read all the tweets, and then I listened to the Vancast on my way home from the game and listened to sort of Drance's take on the whole thing. And he was mad. Like, he was mad at how the Canucks handled this, because basically they brought out Travis Hamonic for this interview, or for media availability. And he's like, yeah, I'm happy to be back with the team. It was kind of an emotional thing. And he was like very thankful to the Canucks organization for how they respected, his time and his feelings. And he's like, yep, I'm vaccinated. I'm ready to play and whatever. But I'm still following the league protocols. And that was where he left it. And that's where they left it. So then Thomas Drance then has to ask Travis Green, who's out in the following availability, hey, Travis Hamonic mentioned that he's still following the league protocols. Is he vaccinated? And then Travis Green says that he has 1 dose, which means if you look at the agreement that the NHL and the NHLPA have for this season, to be considered vaccinated in any respect, you have to have 2 doses and be 14 days after your second dose. So right now, Travis Hamonic is considered, in the eyes of the NHL, an unvaccinated player, which means he can't go to the States to play games. So this is kind of a weird scenario for the Canucks. He's going to come back. He's going to theoretically play these next 4 games, one against the Rangers tomorrow, against the Predators Friday, against the Stars Sunday, and then against the Ducks next Tuesday.
Right.
But then, I mean, let's say he even gets his second shot, next Monday, right? Well, then he's got to wait 2 weeks. So then he can't play the following 3 games in the States, in Colorado, Vegas, and Anaheim. This causes some issues for the Canucks lineup, right? We saw that they reassigned Jack Rathbone to Abbotsford, which I predicted because I said, if Travis Hamonic's coming back and Rathbone's already getting scratched, well, they're just going to send him to Abbotsford because he's waiver exempt and they won't lose anybody, right? You might as well. There's no downside, especially since the team plays in Abbotsford. So if you want to call him up before a game, it takes an hour to get there. It's a really weird scenario that the Canucks sort of are going to have this separate lineup for the following 4 games and the 3 games after that. And if there's injury problems, it can really complicate things. But for the next 4 games, at the very least, barring injury, the Canucks have a solid defenseman back in the lineup.
Yeah, and you laid that out very well. I'd say the only, not even a missing piece, because I watched the whole 17 minutes of Hamonic, and then I watched Travis Green's 8 minutes. So Hamonic you're right. He came out and said, I am vaccinated. He didn't say fully. I am vaccinated. I'm following the protocol. And then before Green came out, actually Thomas Drance asked Hamonic, can you clarify what you meant? And then Hamonic said, I will please refer back to my earlier statement. Okay, so nothing new there, but Travis, he, at least, Thomas Drance tried. And then the very first thing Travis Green says is, yes, he's going to get his second shot soon. So you laid out the timing perfect. It's weird. He can play 4 at home, then he can't play the 3 away. If he gets his second shot, for instance, tomorrow or Wednesday, he can actually play as soon as they come back on the 17th, right? If it's indeed 2 weeks out. So the hockey part of this is interesting too, Parker, because when I heard that Rathbone went down, and remember, I consider Kyle Burrows a right shot guy. I'm saying, what the heck? That only leaves 3 guys on the left between OEL, Hughes, and Hunt. And that technically leaves 5 guys on the right with Myers, Pullman, Hamonic, Burrows, and Shen, 3 and 5. And then I learned about this. Hamonic can't even play when they go to the States next week. So now it makes sense that they're 3 and 4 as opposed to 3 and 5. That's why you keep the right-hander. And then you find out that Burrows can play both sides, right? So then I guess that makes a lot of sense too. Yeah. So from a hockey standpoint, you're right. It does. It's easy to say, we got an extra guy, but it's hard to build chemistry and build flow when a guy's in the lineup for 3 games or 4 games, and then he's out for the next 3, and then he's in for going forward. So that part's tricky for sure. Oh, but by the way, I said the wrong thing. He doesn't have to get shots, on Tuesday or Wednesday because they're coming back home. It's before the next road trip.
He'd have to have them by next Tuesday, theoretically, to qualify for the following road trip where they travel on over to the East Coast. So at most, or at minimum, he'll miss 3 games, and hopefully that's it. Hopefully, as long as he has a second dose by next Tuesday, he'll be good to go to Pittsburgh on Wednesday, the 24th.
Thank you for that clarification, for sure. For sure.
And another name coming back for the Vancouver Canucks is Tyler Motte. This was such an interesting one because we knew he was going to be out for a little bit, and then we saw him at training camp. We saw him out there just shooting pucks after. He looked totally fine. but not cleared for contact. And then he'd been skating after practice every once in a while for a bit. And then out of nowhere, he comes back today. He's in a full contact jersey, bottom six jersey. He's ready to go, apparently. I guess he had some sort of lingering issue in his neck that he had to get surgery on. Was it a bulging disc?
Bulging disc in the upper vertebrae. But don't you love how he just casually dropped in the media availability? Oh yeah, you can see the scar right here on my neck.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I love Tyler Motte.
Yeah.
He's great. So just candid and
I know
he's gonna be such a big addition back into this lineup. So I'm gonna pull up the lines from practice today.
As you do that, for sure. And we all we heard was upper body injury. So there's a lot of speculation that it was concussion, right? Because no one could picture him getting smoked on a hit or bruising a shoulder or whatever. And then we know that he plays bigger than his size, right? So maybe concussion would make sense. No one knew that he had issues with his neck and his vertebrae, which is crazy.
So looking at the lineup, the top 9 are kind of the top 9 at this point, right? Based on what we've seen, at least I think Podkolzin stays there, but Pearson, Horvat, Höglander, Miller, Pettersson, Besser, Podkolzin, Dickinson, Garland, right? We can say that those 9 are going to be in the lineup. Now they are getting back, in theory, Tyler Motte, which leaves Justin Bailey, Yohu Lamico, and Alex Chason as the current fourth line, with Nick Patan and Tyler Motte as extras. Let's say, Tyler Motte was in a full contact jersey. I don't know if he's playing tomorrow. He was an extra in practice.
Yeah, so not eligible till Friday. Apparently.
Okay. Yeah. Just LTI, is that why?
You got it. Yeah.
Okay. And they play Friday?
They do. Nashville.
Okay, sweet. So Friday against Nashville.
Yes.
What do you think the Canucks do here? Because Tyler Motte normally play the right side?
I've seen him play both, depending on who he was stuck with on the fourth line.
Okay, because I think in practice today, I think Batch tweeted out that he was slotting in for Chason on the fourth line occasionally.
Right.
So that leads, okay, well, maybe Chason's the guy that comes out, but Chason is on power play 1 still, right? So who do you think comes out for Tyler Motte? Would it be Bailey? Would it be Chason?
Yeah, I think if Dowling is still not ready to come back, then I think you got to keep Lamico at center. You put Motte on the left, and you put Chason on the right. So in essence, Motte would be replacing Bailey. If Dowling is, and I think Dowling is more effective than Lamico, then I put Dowling in the middle. I just swap Dowling in for Lamico. If Highmore is ready, then you get a little bit confused, because is it Highmore and Motte, which I would like a lot on the two wings, right? Neither of them can play center. Yeah. So a lot of options, but typically we have 2 or 3 guys that are out, and we don't, and that's not even including Sutter, right? So it's hard to tell.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bailey is the easier one to take out of the lineup at this point, just because Chason is sort of indoctrinated on that power play 1. I've been liking Lamico a fair amount, but I think if someone like Dowling comes back, I think he's been better. If Highmore comes back, then I think you start. I think you're ready to take that whole fourth line out. If you were to get like Dowling, Highmore, and Motte all back.
Yep, I agree.
I would be pretty quick to make that swap.
Yeah.
The other news from practice is Oliver Ekman-Larsson. This was a little scary, and we're like, he's not in the lineup, and we're keep losing people. And now Hamonic's back, but OEL's out. However, I think he's sick. Was that what the rumor was?
That's the company line,
right?
But again, this is the same team who I love and spend a lot of money, time, and energy, and this is the same team that told us Hughes was missing practice with a maintenance day, right?
Yeah, and that Travis Hamonic wasn't going to miss a day of camp.
Yes, but they said OEL was sick and that he should be fine tomorrow.
Okay, well, hopefully he's back in the lineup tomorrow. If not, things get a little iffy because then we're looking at a Hunt-Myers pairing. But I'm assuming Hunt was just sort of a direct slot in.
Got to be a placeholder, please.
For OEL, hopefully. Hughes and Poolman, and then Burrows, Hamonic as the third pair there.
Question for you, Parker. When Hamonic is back up to speed and fully engaged, I know it's early, would you reunite him with Hughes, or would you keep Poolman with Hughes?
I think I don't think it matters because I think halfway through a game it changes anyways. I think if the team is losing, Pullman plays less.
Right.
I don't know. I think you got to start sticking with things. I
Yeah.
mean, it's one of the many criticisms that Travis Green's been getting is that he's so quick to throw things in the blender.
Yeah.
I mean, we've literally seen it. Like, I had the game I was at against the Wild. I was like, okay, there's 13 minutes on the clock and the lines are wrong already.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't think it even matters at this
Yes.
point who you put them with, because I think it changes in the first period.
I don't know if you saw in the third period on Saturday night, they were playing Hughes with OEL quite a bit for your two best offensive players. So Hughes stayed on the left and they put OEL on the right, obviously as an opposite shot guy. Not just for that 6-on-4 though. There were a couple shifts where they were trying to generate, and so it's interesting to see our two best players play on the same pairing. Our two best defensemen. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Definitely interesting.
Yep.
Okay. I don't think there's, I'm just trying to think here. I was going to talk about Elias Pettersson a little bit, but we kind of mentioned that earlier. Are you worried about Elias Pettersson still, or?
Not as much, because like you said, although I didn't know, I barely watched the game on Saturday. I was too busy talking to people, but in essence, I understand that he was better. So I'm less worried. I'm still a bit worried, but I'm less worried. Does that count?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you can look at that one game and you can have sort of two mindsets. You're like, all right, Elias Pettersson's, he's on the uptrend. He'll be back in a couple of games. He'll be totally fine. You can also look out of the mind of, all right, 1 out of 9 isn't great. Right? One good game out of 9 is not good enough. But he did seem to be simplifying his game a little bit. He's firing more pucks at the very least. Do you have any shots on goal? He had 3 shots on goal against the Oilers, which is nice to see. You want to get that up a little bit more, but and he did play 22 minutes against the Oilers, which is a lot more than the 12 we were, like 15 we were seeing previously. So yeah, we can just hope that this upswing continues. But I'm still a little hesitant.
Yeah. Like, you're not as hesitant as he is, I guess.
I guess so. All right, let's get some predictions here. We got 3 games coming up. Canucks Rangers tomorrow night, 7 p.m. By the way, both of us do stuff after the Canucks games. I do a post-game show. Clay does a video. Come watch both of those after the game. Do you think the Canucks scoring woes continue going into tomorrow night's game, or do the Canucks figure it out and get a win on the board?
Logic would suggest that the Rangers should wipe the ice with the Canucks. The Rangers are 6-2-1, right? So they have 13 in 9. We have 7 in 9. So that's why I think the Canucks are going to win.
All right, I'm gonna give you the actual odds on this game. The puck line here, which is New York Rangers -115. The Canucks are -105. So almost dead 50-50 odds. Very, very slight favorites to the Rangers. This might be a game I put some money on the Rangers on, just because logically it feels like they'd be the better team tomorrow night based on the way the Canucks are playing. But they're seeing this as basically a toss-up
because we're at home, right?
I'm sure that's part of it. It's usually about a 3% difference. But yeah, I'm gonna say I'm just hoping the Canucks win. Whether it takes an ungodly Demko performance.
Rangers are gonna get good goaltending too. So
yep, yeah, Shesterkin is a good goalie.
Yeah.
After that, so the Canucks have had a lot of 2-day gaps, right? They keep seeming to play Saturday, then Tuesday, giving themselves Sunday, Monday off, and the same thing going into this one, 2 days off before this one, and then they take on the Predators on Friday at 7 p.m. So another 2-day gap.
We're gonna smoke them.
Slow homestand. You're saying that the Canucks are gonna smoke the Predators.
Yes, that's the game they bring. I think they squeak out a 2-1. We keep losing 2-1. I say we beat the Rangers 2-1. This is how optimistic. This is how stupid I am. And I think we're gonna break out on Friday night because I'm gonna be there and I want to cheer some goals.
I like it. All right, we're gonna say the Predators get rolled and smoked tomorrow by the Canucks, and then the Canucks on Sunday take on the Dallas Stars, who are 3-4-1, very similar boat to the Canucks, and they have had tremendous goal scoring trouble. 15 goals in the 8 games they've played, less than 2 goals per game. This has all the makings of a absolute snooze fest at this point. However, knowing the Canucks, this game is going to be 5-4.
Okay, so are you saying 5-4 Canucks or 5-4 loss?
Sure, I'll say the Canucks win 5-4.
I'm with you. We're in the same mind. So we're 3-0 so far.
Perfect. Yeah, Canucks are winning every game this week, guys. Let's go. Travis
Green, both. Yes, Travis Green
gets an extension already. The team is back.
And then one more.
That gets us to the end of our topics. I like this. Good previews. Previews are done. Let's go to you, the people. This is your time. Get those Q&As in. I'm going to put the little Q&A banner up. By the way, while we wait for those questions to pour in, quick shout out. Happy birthday, Lucas. Thanks for tuning in and supporting both of us. Hope you have a good year.
And he's one of our solid moderators. I think they're a couple people are asking, so we'll talk off air if we need to add any more moderators. I see a lot of action tonight.
Oh, it's a busy one. I don't look at the chat during this because I'm so busy thinking. My mind is just going. All right, let's get some questions here. What are you giggling about?
Oh, just look. You'll see.
I see a bunch. Pick one.
I'm looking at Dexter's.
Oh, Dexter asking if I'm single. I'm gonna keep you in limbo. I can't. I don't want to lose all these fans. That are here for my.
You're going to disappoint people either way. So
exactly. I don't want to make.
So I'll answer that. No, I'm not single, Dexter. Although you weren't asking me. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Let's do some questions here. I'm just seeing if there was some earlier that we missed, but it's hard to scroll back. There's hundreds of comments. Thank you guys, by the way, for leaving all those comments. Hit the like button if you are still here. First one, Marcus is asking, are y'all doing Movember, Clay?
Well, if so, you wouldn't see the results till next November. So no, I will not be
in the
doing
same boat. It would be a long month. I might just for fun.
I might get fired by my bishop. He might just think there's something wrong with me. So probably not. And then even if I did, I would just trim it off with the Manscaped thing anyways.
Dexter did I do that right? Asking because I said we are setting up the tree. He got me. He was listening in too well.
Sorry, he listened better than that. When did you say that? Was that today?
That was during the Manscaped read. Because we're setting up the Christmas tree because November.
So that just shows you for the Manscaped, I try not to tune. I'm not tuning you out. I'm just trying not to break my concentration and interrupt the read that we have to do properly. And that's why you're doing it, not me.
Fair enough. I don't think Manscaped is looking in depth at our ad read and being like, it better say everything perfectly. I think they got a lot of bigger fish to fry.
That's funny.
Edmund's just asking a simple question. Will both of you guys get NHL 22? I have it. I bought it yesterday.
How is it?
Finally, it's fine. It's NHL. I finally bit the bullet and just went for it.
We were gonna. It came out the day of my 24-hour live stream, so we actually thought about doing it for that night, but then we didn't want to get messed up with downloading or settings, blah blah blah. So if anyone buys it, it'll be Sean. He's the only one who plays it in our household, but he hasn't made a big jump for it just yet. Let me know how it is. Maybe you'll help sell us either way.
I like this question from Shannon. What sites do you look at for stats and stuff in the NHL? Because lots of my post game shows, I'm on things like Natural Stat Trick. Very good website, basically real-time analytics on the game. So if you want to, you can see shots and everything on the NHL's website, but Natural Stat Trick is really good for analytics. I use it a lot. Lucas is saying, if and or when Travis Green is let go, who would you like to see replace him? This is so out of my depth because I don't really know who's available. I've seen names like Bruce Boudreau, Claude Julien, Manny Malhotra, I guess, although he doesn't really have any head coaching experience. And I feel like the Canucks, I feel like they got to go veteran head coach at some point here.
Yeah, I just typed in Google NHL coaches not coaching. I don't think that was the best.
Available would have been a much better word.
Okay, thank you. Where's Gallant right now?
I don't know, in a taxi in Florida somewhere, I'm sure.
Is he coaching yet?
I don't think so. Because I remember he was rumored for the Seattle job.
Right.
And he
no, Glenn's coaching the Rangers, of course. Okay.
Oh,
okay. That shows you. Yeah, we know our coaches. That's for sure.
We're doing great.
I've always liked Boudreaux. I know there's certain people in the chat.
He's literally here tomorrow.
What's that?
He's literally here tomorrow. Like, how do we not know these things?
Boudreaux's my guy.
Boudreaux's your guy? Yeah. Boudreaux would be very entertaining. And that's good enough for me.
Yeah. Let's go
Scrolling. Oh, see it. It's asking thoughts on the Adam Fox extension. Absolute steal for the Rangers. He's probably the best defenseman in the NHL right now already, and he's making 9.5 for the next 7 years. Right. It is robbery. He is so good.
Yeah. We always talk about these long-term contracts. You might overpay now for a really sweet deal. Well, you're going to get a sweet deal right away, basically, with this guy. Well, maybe 9.5 is a lot, but look how good the guy is. And by year 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you're laughing. You are laughing all the way to the bank.
And so especially with the defense, like the market the way it is right now. I'm looking at the Athletic, Dom Lucian, who does his sort of projections here. His market value based solely analytically is $14.7 million a year, which I think is the max, basically. So basically the Rangers are saving like $5 million a year. They're getting $5 million a year in value on this Adam Fox contract.
$5 million
every year. He's that good. He was the best defenseman in the NHL last year. It's crazy.
Wow. So yes, I agree with you. Excellent deal.
James asking, do you feel that having high energy players in Motte and Garland give the Canucks the boost they need? Do you think Motte and Garland, you kind of alluded to this earlier, do you think the two of them are enough to help turn things around?
Well, it certainly can't hurt, but they need other guys doing what they're supposed to do. They need PD setting up people or sniping. They need Besser scoring. They need Miller spending more energy on making good passes than swearing. They need Horvat to lead. So everyone's got to do their role, but I definitely think Tyler Motte's the type of guy who you said it, Parker. People love him and his teammates love him, and he's going to give it all. That's probably how he ended up with the bulging disc. So I think it's great. I think it makes, I'll say it again, he makes our team tougher to play against. And I don't worry about a team with Motte, PD, Garland, Hoglander being too small. We've talked about this before, because if you're skating circles around the other team and making them take penalties, that's how you make them pay, not by trying to beat them up.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Who's been your favorite Canuck so far this season? Asks Marcus.
His is Luke Shen. Arbo mentioned Oyel and Demko. Yeah. I think performance and just kind of surprise and intrigue at being new, I would say it's actually Demko and the two Arizona guys, the two former. I say Demko, Oyel, and Garland for me.
For me, it's Garland. If I'm just going by favorite, Garland has been so fun, so feisty. Just the spins. I love the spins, and he's just so fun to watch. So
did you catch his after hours?
No, I missed it.
It's quite good, especially if you like Garland. He's very, it's interesting. They're talking about the angry little elf nickname, and he basically said, I hope that doesn't stick. He flat out said that he doesn't like it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
That is pretty funny. It's not a great nickname.
No.
Dexter asking, why are all the NHL coaches out of shape? Because why would they be in shape? There's no reason to be. That's not your job. They make enough money to eat good. They're on the road all the time.
Yeah, they're not the ones skating all the drills, the 40s.
Yeah. Brett asking, how do you feel about Quinn's play thus far?
It's been fine. I can't recall too many times where defensively you're saying that was a bad turnover. I can't believe he got walked. I think offensively he's been hit and miss. He definitely creates when he kind of comes off the boards and dangles. I do think he tries to do too much by himself sometimes. I think he's got to trust his players, his teammates. But if I'm saying we got to take more risks and not be so conservative, that's the kind of guy who's going to do that kind of thing. So I've been fine with this play. How about you, Parker?
I test wise, I think he's been good. I think he's been totally fine. Hasn't exceeded expectations or anything. I'm looking at his analytics right now, and they're not great. And part of this, again, comes down to the team not playing great. He's been out at 5-on-5. I think this is 5-on-5. He has been out for 5 goals for, 3 goals against. That's good. However, if you look at scoring chances, he's been out for 53 for, 79 against.
Ooh.
If you look at high danger scoring chances, 16 for, 34 against. And he's starting most of the time. He's starting 62% of his shifts in the offensive zone. So analytically, not great. Expected goals is 36.85%.
He's starting 2/3 of his shifts in the offensive zone, yet he's getting outchanced. The team's getting outchanced.
Right. That doesn't include neutral zone. That's just offense versus defense.
Okay.
It's 24 offensive zone starts, 24 neutral zone, 15 D zone. But yeah, it's this is, if you just look at expected goals percentage, this is his worst so far, right? Last year was a 46, the year before 52, this year 37. However, again, how much of this comes down to him and how much of it comes down to the forwards having no offensive scoring chances, right? How many shots are the Canucks just firing from the point and getting nothing from, which I think is more of the story than the defensive side.
Can you please give our listeners and our viewers a 30-second explanation what expected goals means and what number you want to be at?
Yeah. So basically expected goals, it's basically how many goals there should have been while you're on the ice versus how many there shouldn't have been against you while you're on the ice. And that's based on shot quantity, location, like a pass that had been made before, who it is shooting. Like there's a bunch of stuff that goes into it. Basically you want to be above 50%, right? If you're at 50%, that means you have been out for half of them. And if you're higher than that, then you're great. 37 is rough. But again, I think a lot of it is because the expected goals for number is so low, not that the expected goals against number is so high, right? We've seen Quinn Hughes play 157 minutes of time at 5-on-5 this year. 157 minutes, and he's been out there for less than 4 expected goals at 5-on-5. 4 goals in 157 minutes. That's the problem. It's not the goals against. 6.5 isn't great, but that's not it. It's it's that the team isn't producing offensively.
So what's he doing then?
I don't know.
Skating around.
He's shooting a lot of pucks from the point, I guess. That's all the team's doing.
And in all seriousness, obviously the team is a lot better with possession numbers when Quinn Hughes, we saw that when that one game he didn't play. But it's one thing to possess the puck, but it's another thing to, as you've been making the point for the last couple of minutes, is to create good scoring chances. So that's kind of what I mean. I think he kind of rags the puck in a good way, gains the zone. Maybe he's one of the guys that can gain the zone. But then what comes after that? What happens once you're in the zone, right? Yeah. Not a good look.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sad. Thanks, man.
All right. We are low on time. Any more you want to take here?
No, I've just been trying to listen and concentrate. There's a lot of good ones, but I don't think we're going to get to everything. Marcus asked this twice, so let's just put it up. It's just a quick Poppy question. It has nothing to do with the Canucks, but I think it's a good. Yeah. When are Poppy's making an appearance? No one here in downtown Montreal wears one, and it's generally very depressing. For me, I see them more once Halloween ends. Quite frankly. So maybe
I think it's usually November 1st is when people sort of, I haven't left the house, so I haven't had an opportunity to purchase one.
And you're not going to wear one on your hockey jersey either, right?
No. So. I'll pick one up though. I always do. And then,
ditto.
But yeah, I don't leave the house anymore. So I stay inside all the time. All right, let's wrap it up there. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. While you're here, hit the like button, hit subscribe, go follow on your favorite podcast platform of choice. If you missed any part of the show, you can rewind. I know it's late, so you can do it in the morning, or you can download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. It does help us up. It moves us up the charts, which is great. And also leave us a 5-star review. Hit subscribe. There's so many things you can do to help us out. Hit up Manscaped if you want to buy yourself a Christmas present. And I think that's it. Clay, any parting words for the night?
Well, I love our optimism, Parker, despite the fact that our team is 3-5-1, but we have them going 3-0 this week.
I think I'm optimistic because they haven't played in 2 days. If the Canucks had played tonight and put up that performance, I would have probably said the Canucks are going to be 0-3 this week.
Okay.
But you know, I get the dip from the loss, and then I get excited for the next game, and hopefully they can make me happy. So I have a fun post game show tomorrow night.
Yes, we want you to be happy, and I want to be happy bowling and watching a game with no sound on it. But watching the Canucks score, while I hear the sweet sound of all the pins dropping. Yes,
beautiful.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us. We will see you. I guess we'll both see you a couple of times this week with the Canucks playing, and then we'll have another episode for you next Monday at 10 p.m. Make sure you're subscribed for that, and have a good November.